had an idea about this piece of property. Butch didn't want to pay any more taxes on it, and he and Joe got together and figured what they could do with this. Well, they decided a memorial would be a great tribute to the past people that are gone. So, was it Joe who said we better run it by Frank, see what he thinks?
Yeah.
So I get the telephone call and I says, if it ever happens, I want to be a part of it. Please let me in. And this was the start of it.
Like my grandmother left it to my mother, and then my mother left it to me.
Tell them what they paid for it originally.
Oh God, I don't know.
This was $400.
$400, yeah.
$400.
And where did the concept come from to design it like the grid of Riverside?
Where the design came from?
Yeah, who had the idea?
That was
Jerry.
Jerry had the idea.
Fishing boat.
I drew the plans and placed all the people that live there in their particular spot on my drawing, and I donated that to the society. They have that. And on the back of that, I don't know if you've ever looked at it, but there's all kinds of notes. And as I was putting this together, I put the notes down in there, and it's got lots of information. So, the back side of that map is just as good as the front part.
Really, I gotta look at that.
Yeah, those are the historical notes. Those are exciting, yeah.
We still think there's a little bit more of the property that Jerry would know and you guys would know. Jerry, we never checked on there was supposed to be a little bit more property that they scooped up.
I'm just leaving our attorney
There you go.
a note that should be looked into.
Okay.
Grab a couple more feet so we can put some more flags.
Jerry, can you talk for just a moment? How did you have the idea to put it in the design of the streets of Riverside? Where did that come from?
Well, you know, we're contractors, and everything we see is plan view. So the fact that that piece of property was a triangle and the neighborhood was a triangle made it kind of just obvious. It jumped out at us, and I think the important thing is that the story that's written in granite. I think it was so well done. One of Frank originally wrote it. Bev Vincent, who is a cousin of Carol Vincent, is a professional writer, and she reviewed it. We went back and forth. Frank had to approve everything, and but I think it tells what happened. It's a story of, really, it's a story of America. It's the story of us all. We all came here from another land, except, well, even you guys came here 15,000 years ago, give or take. A little bit earlier. But we all came here as strangers in a land, and and you can see what people are going through today, trying to fight their way through what you guys, and my grandparents are immigrants from some place called Holland and Bohemia, but it's the end result is what I love to think about, and that is that we came here with next to nothing, and we made something out of ourselves, usually by marrying the Scandinavian girls on the hill, but it's a story of our country, really.
That's good. Thank you.
Frank, one more thing. You were the chief fundraiser for this, right?
I was.
How did that go about? What would you do? You would call up people or go see them, and what would you tell them?
Well, for a period of about 4.5 to 5 weeks, I was in my bathrobe the whole day. I had 3 telephone books, and I had an original personal address book of the people that we knew. So I started calling. And I got to talk eventually to people I never knew existed. And we knew what we had to have. We had these costs already established. And we had to make sure that it was going to get paid for. There's one thing we overlooked, though. I think we could have got it tax-free.
Yeah.
Because we had to pay taxes also. But I've been heard since that we could have, if we applied to the tax commission, we could have got that tax-free. Probably could have saved $500 to $700.
Could have brought the money.
But anyhow, we did get enough donations. Only on 2 occasions was I turned down. And after the second and third call to those same people, I gave up.
There you go.
But
Then you want a new cup.
everyone just went for the idea. They thought it was the greatest thing that we could possibly do. And until today, I still get people telling me what a wonderful thing that we did for the community and the Croatian people.
Mike, could you tell us just a brief minute or so, what does Riverside mean to you? Why is Riverside important to
My
you?
grandmother and grandfather had the grocery store there,
Am I blocking?
and I was, my mother was the oldest of 13 kids, Elizabeth Budnick. So she stayed with the family, and I stayed there till probably 15, 16 years old. And I just grew up by the river there, and used to pick up the ice from the Iceman when they bring the blocks of ice. The kids would run behind and grab the chips of ice.
But they called it Happy Home Grocery, and that's what it was. Love and food and a lot of prayers and rosaries for the Slav women. Excuse me, I say Slav still because Joe Papa, you know, whatever, excuse me. But
grandmother
there
was
was
the saint.
rosaries, yeah.
She was the saint of the whole area.
Jenny
Frank will attest to that. She never talked about religion, she just did it. She walked to Holy Rosary Church every morning, cathedral downtown.
You know what
about
his grandmother, the lady he's talking about,
Jenny?
she had this large family, and every morning before the kids went to school, she walked from there to what used to be the Fry Packing Company and back, came back, prepared breakfast, got the kids all dressed and off to school,
Ran the grocery
and
store.
this was done every day.
We used to line up before I went to Holy Rosary Church. That's when the streetcars were coming through.
Yep.
And we used to line up and go through the store before we were there. We all had our white shirts clean and everything, and to pick up a little candy, a little lunch to go to up to the streetcar. And the streetcar took us up to Holy Rosary Church.
Mike,
What was his name? I can't remember the streetcar guy's name.
I don't know the streetcar drivers, but
Oscar.
we had the best service of anybody in West Seattle.
Yeah, he was
all the
Oscar.
streetcars had to come across the bridge, and there was a Riverside stop. So you didn't have to catch a particular one, like it's going to Fauntleroy or Admiral Way or California Ave, whatever. Anything that came by, you got on. And another thing we used to get a transfer. One guy would pay for the fare, run to the back, open the window, throw the transfer out, and run around and get back. We did that many, many times.
The driver's name was
They knew
Oscar.
what we were doing.
The driver's name was Oscar. I remember that.
Was it?
Yeah.
I
Mike,
got a little history for you, Zavilla. I was going through some stuff, and here I get there's a letter from Pacific Forge Company. Was that foundry?
Yes.
Right across the
Yes.
street, and it's to his mother when you were a year old, 1935, yeah, and it's from the Pacific Foundry, and the head guy wrote a letter to Elizabeth. Thank you so much for sending the old country chili over to the boys on night shift. I mean, this is the head hot dog of that company back then. Personally typed, saying, I want to thank you for that. That was old country style. All us boys on night shift just absolutely loved it. It was colossal, superb, and if there's any more things like that, we would be happy to, you know, eat it for you. From the head guy, and it has the old letter again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mike Poppins was the gate guard.
Gate guard, yeah.
What happened to him, he was, they'd stack, there was a bolt and nut factory. And they would stack these boxes. They were about this long, that wide, and about that deep. And each one was heavy. So they would stack them as high as they could reach. Well, this one time, the pile came over on him. And he was injured quite severely. So what the Bethlehem Steel Company did, they said that in lieu of no lawsuit against them on account of the accident, that they would have a lifetime job. And all he had to do was open and close the gate. Something came in, he opened the gate. After they left, he closed the gate.
And what would he do at lunch?
I remember walking by the store.
Then he'd walk home, have a glass of wine and lunch, and then go right back down again.
I can remember him walking by the store when I was 6, 7 years old.
Mike, can you tell us what went through your mind to lead us to this day? Why did you want to contribute this wonderful memorial to the Historical Society?
As soon as it came about, I just got all enthused, and I says, my grandmother and my mother sent the word down to
Joe Budnick.
To Joe Budnick, my grandfather, sent the word down not to sell it, to see what happens, and that's what happened. The memorial came because of that. So it was a godsend, and the area, as we all know, it couldn't have been any better, any place any better. The property, if it had been in the middle of the block, it would have been a lot different. This is right there at the point, as you can tell.
And it would have been lost history after you two go. You know, your guys are like the last of the Mohicans, you know, really.
Well, I'm one of the 4
Horsemen?
first generation that are left. 2 of those that I found out are infirm. And the 4th one, I can't trace him, but I know he's still alive.
Wow.
In fact, he came to the dedication. He lived in California somewhere. And but here, I'm the only one left.
Yeah, Frank's the only one with the real history, and Jerry, 2 guys.
Jerry came in during the war with his family. And that's when I met him. I was in the service. When I got back, I got to know the family. But they're Riverside.
Well, I didn't know your dad, but I always loved that picture you had of the deer on the hood of the truck down there. I says, that's a guy after my own heart. You know, bringing home supper.
I have a question. I'm wondering, how is it that that property, what was on that piece of property years ago?
Nothing.
Nothing. So how did you come to own it? I mean, how did
Well,
it?
Mrs. Budnick, story that I got, purchased it. She didn't want to block off the view from West Marginal Way to see the store, which was just right across.
The store was right to the...
On the east side?
That makes sense.
The store was on the east side
On the
of
west side and then the pie shapes.
And the Blaine Hotel,
the
when they
west
come
side.
right up to it?
The Blaine Hotel, that's a story unto itself.
Okay, you can tell that one.
The Blaine Hotel was brought down from Blaine. And from the river, it was rolled over and placed on that site. The Olmsteads were the original owners. They added on to, see, the Blaine Hotel was for transit use only. There were people going in and out of there all the time. Even we as kids, we would run all through that place. We used their bathroom. We go up and down the fire escape. Nobody ever said anything to us.
Plus
But most of
marriages, you know, marriages and parties there all the time.
Well, that was in Joe Marine's place down below.
That was the lower part. That was put in afterwards, when they put the foundation. So what the Olmsted did, they added the north end, which abutted this piece of property that's there now, the memorial. And he built a kitchen for all the transits and all the workers that worked in all the industries around there. And his family had quarters down below. And I grew up with those kids.
Johnny Cakes.
And all the women worked in canneries, right?
All the ladies from Riverside, Youngstown, Lower West Seattle, all worked at the cannery.
Yeah, the canneries right back here.
And that was seasonal work, but there was some of the, well, it was Mary Pasinich, the mother. She was the foreman. She worked all year round. And they did employ some of the ladies, because then they would have jams and jellies that they would make during the war. I mean, during the winter. So they had a basic crew, but then when all the fruit was coming in, apples, you name it, it came into there. And all the ladies, they had those, looked like a nurse's cap, was blue in color, and they wore a little gown also. And then at lunchtime, from where we lived, we could see them, all the ladies running as fast as they possibly could to go home grab a quick lunch, glass of wine, and go back to work.
And remember Danitza and them? They had.
I do.
The people when their husbands died, they wore black. Remember?
Yes.
All the women.
And where were the grapes growing for the wine?
Well, there was a fellow in Georgetown by the name of Paul Sherdo. He would bring in 2 or 3 freight cars full of grapes. And I remember going there many times with my father. We'd always buy 150 boxes of grapes. And I helped mash a lot of them with stomping on with boots. However, he would go down and Paul Sherdo would be right there. He'd let you go in and test the different grapes. And my father could tell by the sugar content whether he wanted to buy any of that particular batch or not. So they were pretty sharp, and the Italians also. They came from everywhere.
There was a gallon of wine in every house.
Yeah.
Best food in the world in every house every day.
How many gallons did my grandpa drink? Joe Budnick.
Just like everybody else. We always had a gallon of wine right in the table during dinner time. And as little kids, we'd get glasses. We had those big glasses that were about this high. My dad would give us just about